Hey, it's Patrick Wilson.
Hello, this is Jeff Goldblum.
Hi, this is Alec Baldwin, and you're listening to Marta on the Move.
I'm your host, Marta Mazzoni. Join us as we connect culturally through lifestyle, travel, and entertainment. Hi all, and welcome back to Marta on the Move. This episode is sponsored by Steel City Improv Theater. Located in Pittsburgh's Shadyside neighborhood, Steel City Improv Theater invites folks from all walks of life to enjoy long-form improv comedy. They provide improv classes from levels 1 through 5 and have shows on Fridays and Saturdays at 8 and 9:30 p.m. Check them out at steelcityimprov.com and on Instagram and Facebook at Steel City Improv Theater. Steel City Improv Theater. Listen, commit, play. My second sponsor for this episode is actually myself. If you are a person that is looking to enhance their meditation or yoga practice, I am now taking on more private clients over Zoom. And if you are someone that is looking to grow, find more joy in their life, and lead their life from their heart, feel free to ask me about my new Marta on the Move mentorship program. Something I am really excited for, and I will be announcing probably in the next month or so. But if you're curious about it, just shoot me an email and I'll tell you all about it. Without further ado, let's get into today's episode. Man, I just want to start off by saying that this episode was a doozy. My goodness. So this is my second recording of this podcast. The blog page, which I have to write out before I usually write, my process is I write before I record. And I can't even tell you how hard this subject was to write and rewrite and come back to and copy and paste and do away. I probably deleted, I don't even know how much copy I deleted. But the title of this episode also changed like 8 times. I don't know. I can't explain it. It was a very hard one for me to tackle. Very hard. And I finally settled because there was just so much information that I felt that people were just going to be like, what are you doing? I finally settled with facing fears and finding joy in life through discomfort. That is the name of this episode. That is the topic we're going to be talking about. So first things first, exploring fear. Something nobody wants to do. Fear is defined by an unpleasant, often strong emotion caused by anticipation or awareness of danger. We in our lives are not immune to fear. It comes like waves. It's always unwelcome. And there's so many different types. And just to touch on a few, like huge ones, there's global fears. There's the war in Ukraine, there's global warming, there's food shortages. I mean, there's death of a loved one, or our own amount of time on this spinning globe. And I'll touch on some of those later, but really today I wanted to tackle some fears that we ourselves can control, that we have control over. And they are fears that if we push past them and we stretch outside our comfort zones, if we try new things, then it ultimately brings us more peace and more joy in our lives. And I just want to, for this episode, talk about some examples. I'm going to delve into poor Phil, bringing up some of his examples, my examples, in the hopes that you yourself are inspired that there's light on the other side of pushing past your fears. And I wanted to start that with, how do we face it? How do we sit, with our fears? Fear comes from uncertainty. Fear comes up from doubt. And The only way to face fears is to sit with discomfort. Once again, not something, nobody wants to do this. Discomfort is defined as making someone feel uneasy, anxious, or embarrassed. All feelings that nobody wants to deal with. And, I talk about the internet a lot on my show, and I feel that it is a tool that can be used for good, but also I believe it has made us more afraid than ever and extremely comfortable being more than an arm's length away from coming face to face with our own discomfort. Discomfort is the reason why a lot of us won't step out of our safety spaces. Just think about it. Like, nobody wants to feel uneasy. Nobody wants to feel anxious or embarrassed. The problem is when we avoid that feeling, when we avoid these emotions, we create a bubble of safety around us that isolates us. It keeps us fixed, keeps us static in our habits, our patterns, basically our zone of comfort. And I've had that happen to me. I know it happens to everybody because it happens to me. And we look at that by an example. So imagine for a second, just deep dive into this by imagining you get an invitation to a party, right? And at first, you're really excited. You're like, wow, somebody thought of me. I'm invited to something. How cool is that? You have every intention of going. You knew what you were going to wear. You knew what you were going to bring. You looked forward to seeing some friends that maybe you haven't connected with in a while. And you put it on your calendar, looking forward to it. And then the day of the party comes, or the day before the party comes, and you start thinking to yourself these nagging little creepy thoughts that enter your brain. Ooh, what if I don't know anyone there? What if nobody talks to me? Ugh, staying home and watching the Durrells in Corfu sounds amazing. I don't have to go. Nobody's gonna miss me. I can miss this one. Now, for everybody out there who's listening, yeah, Durrells of Corfu is amazing, and I have totally taken it to the face. Phil and I, it's an incredible show on Amazon Prime if you haven't seen it. But I'm not saying that a little couch introvert time isn't needed by all of us, but I'm sure that there have been situations where you wanted to attend an event and fear or discomfort of the unknown has held you back. And that brings me to this quote. The unknown is just something we don't know yet. And I'm going to repeat that. The unknown is just something we don't know yet. One of the reasons you probably didn't go to that party is because you don't know what's going to happen at the party. That's it. It's a discomfort. This statement is 100% fact. Uncertainty is just having doubts about the unknown. Not knowing things gives people anxiety. It fuels self-doubt. It makes them feel self-conscious and uncomfortable. Like, for example, if you know a subject, think of a subject right now, everyone listening to this. I'll even do this practice. Think of a subject you know pretty well. Like, you've studied it, you maybe it's your hobby, whatever it is, knitting, I don't know. You would be absolutely happy to speak about it to someone else. You could talk about it for a while. Now, for example, bring to mind, in your mind, a topic that you know nothing about. I don't care what it is. It could be like, World War I. I don't know. Whatever you don't know something about. And then imagine someone putting you on the spot and saying, hey, talk about this topic. What is your initial gut reaction? It is fear. It is anxiety. It is all of those emotions because you can't speak on this subject. You don't know it. And realizing that you have the power to know something and therefore tackling your fears is so powerful. And that's what I want to talk about for a little bit. It's remembering that we have the power to conquer our fears, because uncertainty and unknowing, that all stems from just not knowing it yet. It's so simple. You have the power to shed your fears by learning what you don't know. It's something we overlook due to massive amounts of distraction in our lives. That we have the power, that our minds have the power to create joy and happiness in our life. The only problem is it just takes some discomfort to get there, because we learn in so many different ways. You can pick up a book and you can learn about a subject, and that's cool. But there's also different examples of stretching past your comfort zone to try new things. And that brings me to some personal examples for using Phil and I's kind of life on this podcast. And thank God he doesn't listen to this. Thank you. I love you, babe, if you're listening. I'm so proud of you. But for example, I decided to push past Phil and I's boundaries this year by signing us up for improv comedy classes. And, Phil, getting him to go was impossible. He was so upset. He was so upset that I signed us up. He did not want to be put on display. He did not want to go, period. He was avid and adamant and mad at me. And when I finally convinced him to go, he was miserable. He was extremely anxious the entire 2 hours before we actually had to go. It was like dragging a kid to church, honestly. And then it was a beautiful thing to watch, because once we arrived, he was fine. He was still a little grumpy. He was Grumpelstiltskin, but he was fine. And I even caught him smiling a few times. And then fast forward to the next week, the second class, he was still grumpy going, but it was maybe only an hour before we went. And then this time in class, I caught him laughing, like cackling out loud. The third class we went to, I witnessed him beginning to loosen up on stage. He was having more fun with it. He was dropping his anxiety about performing, about not knowing anyone, about people judging him. And I can tell you now that he looks forward to our classes. He goes to shows every weekend. It's a new hobby that he never would have discovered if he wasn't brave enough to just try, to just push past his discomfort and sit with it, which is exactly what he did, and learn this new skill and make new friends. And all it is now he knows. He knows those people. He knows who's going to be there. He knows the process, and he's more confident. He doesn't have the self-doubt anymore that he had that was causing him so much anxiety. And now that he's starting to understand it, he's opening up and communicating with others, and it brought so much more joy into his life, because now he has this new outlet that he never, ever thought that he could do. And I am no different. I am no different. For example, like when I did the show, The Descendants, the musical back in March, walking into those rehearsals, all of the kids were like young. They were like in their 20s, like 15 to 27 was the average age. I'm 40. And I didn't know any of them. It was terrifying. I'm usually a person that's extremely inclusive. I try to be inclusive anywhere I go. If I see someone standing in a corner, it breaks my ever-loving heart. And I found myself kind of feeling like that person. And it's not a pretty feeling. It was very uncomfortable. But you know what happened? I pushed through it, and I now have these wonderful new friends, and we talked and we talked about subjects, and I learned so much from them because they're so young, and I felt so old, but it taught me so much about myself and looking back on my life and all that I've accomplished. Anyways, it's a whole other thing, and I went pretty deeply into it and learned so much. But the fact of the matter is, I never wanted to audition for it. I was terrified. There was so much discomfort and so much fear, and I'm so happy that I decided to do it because it taught me so many things, and it's something I can be proud of. It was something on my bucket list, and it was something I was proud of. I can say the same for a trapeze class I tried recently, which brings me to an activity you yourself can try. So I have this friend, Lisa, who stretched me outside my comfort zone and invited me to a trapeze class. And I think I mentioned it before on my show, but whatever. It's terrifying. It's absolutely scary. My body is not built for trapeze. My butt going above my head, I can do a handstand or a headstand, but trapeze, whoa, like being off the ground, fear of heights, my God, it's scary. But wow, was it invigorating, and wow, was I proud of myself for going and actually getting up there. It was so cool. And the way that happened, I would have never gone by myself. Never, ever, ever gone by myself. So I tell you, if you have, and I know you do, because everybody does, if you have things like this in your life that you've always wanted to try but you've never done, something you would love but you've avoided because of discomfort or fear, here's what you can do. Call on your friends. Friends are the key to helping you overcome your fears. So I want you to try this, and you can pause the podcast. You can come back to it later, but grab a piece of paper or your journal and sit down and write down a list of fears that you have. And then after that, I want you to write down at least 3 activities or experiences that you have always wanted to try, but you haven't due to discomfort and fear. And then the third thing I want you to list is friends or family that would help you overcome this fear and complete something you want to do. Like someone you can call on or text or whatever and be like, yo, I need you to force me and come with me to do this, whatever, urban air, like indoor trampoline. I don't know. For me, that's terrifying. So I want you to come with me. I need someone to push me. Phil has me and I have Phil. He pushes me too. And so having someone, having a friend, it really helps. Now comes the hard part. Here's the hard part, is pushing past your own discomfort and asking your friend for help to achieve the results that you want. And asking them for help can look like having them do research on the subject and maybe, letting you know about it, asking them to listen as you talk openly about your fears, and then ultimately asking them to go to a class or adventure so you don't have to go alone. Doing this, I'm telling you, doing this will not only allow you to try something new, but it'll create a more meaningful relationship with that friend because they will feel honored that you asked them for help with this. It's like instant joy, which is what this podcast is all about. Pushing past your fears, sitting with discomfort, and finding joy. And joy is found through meaning in our life. So hopefully that helps you. Hopefully that gives you some inspiration to get out there and tackle some fears, to get past, pushing past discomfort, to find your joy. For a minute, I would like to talk about this quote that I read, and it's called "Sometimes happiness is not knowing the whole story." So the flip side of knowing is not knowing. And yeah, it's really powerful to know that we have the ability to learn things. And by learning new things, that eliminates fear. But on the flip side of that is the possibility that you will never have understanding or never know about the larger questions in life, like death and uncertainty and what the future will bring. And it causes pain and anxiety and restlessness in all of us. And I just wanted to touch on this because I feel like it's really important to talk about. And the fact that sitting with your uncertainty and accepting that everything will work out is possible for you. It's the way that this is possible is trying to get through to finding peace and, giving up concerns about what we can't control. So learning about something, and pushing past our boundaries, we can control, but this is talking about the things we can't control. And how do we accomplish this? I can only speak from personal experience, which is what I do on my podcast. And thank you for being here on my journey. But for me, having these feelings, especially, these past year, it's through self-care. And self-care for me looks like movement and meditation and therapy and shadow work and apparently improv classes. Yay. Shout out for Steel City Improv. This is all very healing work. And the goal of it for me was to find stillness, to be less restless, because there's nothing worse than being restless. It's awful. It is a terrible, terrible feeling of not being able to just be. We know now that stillness leads to happiness. And you do that by pulling yourself into the present moment. It's why my passion is my meditation practice, my yoga practice, and my one-on-one practice. It's teaching meditation to my students and watching them become more grounded and settled and joyful. And that restlessness, it just makes you feel trapped, and it feels endless, and it creates negative emotions like judgment and fear and discomfort. And in the end, we have this one life, and it's a gift. And we try to soak in every minute of it and spread happiness. And that joy is possible. And it starts by sitting, all leading back to discomfort, because it's not easy to sit. It's not easy to be still. It's not easy to try your own practice. And I'm on my own personal journey of doing that. And it has opened up more of exploring my wishes and my dreams and my experiences and, stuff that I've left aside in my younger years and never stepped up to the plate to try. So often we lose what we love. It becomes blurry and habitual, and we forget our dreams. And now through deep meditation, not medication, luckily, and journaling, almost a year later, I have a list of what truly fills my cup and, what works for me and what doesn't. And that required a lot of discomfort, a lot of sitting with my fears and traumas, and a lot of just being still. And I wish this for you as well. If you have any questions about this, I would love, love, love to hear from you. Is there something that is holding you back? Do you have that bucket list of things that you want to do in this lifetime that you haven't done? I would love to hear about them. Please, please, please. shoot me an email, shoot me a message, let me know how it's going. And then if you are someone that, is looking to grow and break some boundaries, open your heart, lead your life with more joy, feel free to ask me about my classes or my new Marta on the Move mentorship program that is coming up. I'm so excited about it. I can't talk too much about it, but I can tell you it's a one-on-one program focused on helping people live their lives from their heart. It's basically boils down to kind of all of it in a nutshell. And I'm just so lucky and happy that I'm able to pursue my passion of helping others. And I wanted to touch on the sponsor for this episode because I love it so much, and Phil loves it now too. But Steel City Improv is the sponsor for this episode, and I actually reached out to them to sponsor it because I was already taking the classes with Phil, and I cannot tell you, and I might actually just record its own solo podcast about the benefits of improv, but it is such a wonderful, wonderful way to make friends, create connections, step outside your comfort zone comfortably. Step outside your comfort zone. Which feels like it doesn't make sense, but it's true. You feel comfortable the moment you walk in, and everyone there is just there to connect and play games and to just have fun. So please, please, please check them out when you get a chance. Steel City Improv, steelcityimprov.com. Send them a message, an email. They also do Saturday drop-in classes, like open classes. So if you want to try it out, but you don't want to sign up for the full sessions, which you totally should sign up for the full sessions because they're so much fun. But if you want to just try it out, that's what happened to me. That's actually how I found them. Was years ago. My friend Adam was like, hey, there's this class. It's an hour long on Saturday. You want to go check it out? And I was like, sure. And that was it. I was like, oh, this is like camp for adults. This is exactly what I'm looking for. So check them out. Go see them. Go see their shows. Their shows are so inexpensive. They're a nonprofit in Pittsburgh, PA, promoting comedy, and they are wonderful. So please be sure to go check them out on their website. Tell them Marta sent you. Tell them I'm a goober. And, come see one of my shows. Hey. What else do I have coming on? Last few things. Sorry, I'm going to keep you a minute longer. There are still some available spots for my Greece sailing retreat this June 18th. Come sail the Ionian Sea with me. Yes, you get to travel with me. It's fun, as long as you're not a diva king or queen and you're low maintenance and you're a very down to earth and really fun person. You can come hang out and have an adventure with me. There's still some space available. And also my friend Elizabeth Craig and I are putting together a woman's retreat, a woman's transformational retreat. And I wanted to bring a retreat that's closer to home because not everybody can fly off to Greece for 9 days. I get it. So we are creating a retreat. It's located at River Mountain. The dates are September 8th through the 11th. It is going to be a weekend full of connection, community, healing, transformation, self-love, just all that in a bag of chips. I am so excited for it. You don't want to miss it. Details will be out on my website probably about like a week and a half, something like that. But if you know that you want to go, if you are a woman, and this is for women only, this retreat, if you know that you want to go, please send me an email because we are taking pre-registration for it and it's going to be a fabulous time. That's it, everybody. I'm very happy I re-recorded this podcast because the first one was just all over the place, but Maybe this one is too. I don't know. But I wanted to put this out there and kind of give some tips, give some feedback on our personal experience pushing through discomfort to face fears and the joy that it can bring, because it does bring joy. It brings peace of mind, brings knowledge, and knowledge is power, and you are powerful. You are worthy and you are powerful, and I love you. Keep it moving, everybody. As always, you can find me, martaonthemove.com, Twitter at I Can't Find Marta. Shoot me an email. Have a lovely day.